Hello, friends of Camp Spalding. I'm Forrest Buckner, and I'm here to bring you our Jesus story today. This Jesus story is much like many of the stories of Jesus that have been told and taught to campers at Camp Spalding night after night through the summers over years and years. And Camp Spalding has been a really special place for me personally, as I've gotten to speak at camp and join in with the amazing work that happens there week after week each summer. And also, as my children have gotten to go to Camp Spalding and experience the beauty and the fun and the adventure, to be loved by amazing counselors, to hear about Jesus, but also to experience life in Jesus embodied and modeled. It's been a wonderful place, and I am really grateful to be a friend of Camp Spalding and to be a part of the amazing work that goes on there each year. Today I get to bring us our Jesus story from Mark chapter 10, the Gospel of Mark. And it's a story that I think is something special for us today. But before we go there, when we think about something at Camp Spalding, maybe some of you remember, if you've been there or you've seen in a video or heard about it, the camp bell. On the back deck of the dining hall there is a beautiful old metal bell that rings, and when that bell rings, everyone at camp listens. They listen and do something. Often they'll hear the bell ring. It's time to go get your airmail and see if you got a care package from someone who loves you. Or you hear the bell and it's time to go to the next set of activities and fun together. Or that one special night when everyone goes out and listens to God in silence under the stars. The bell rings as the time to come back to cabins and come and share with your friends and counselor what it is that you heard or experienced with God that night. When that bell rings, everyone listens. And today in our story in Mark chapter 10, we see someone listening, but it's a bit surprising how it all plays out. Chapter 10, verses 46 through 52 says this: Jesus and his disciples came to Jericho. And as he and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet. But he cried out even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." So, throwing off his cloak, Bartimaeus sprung up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed Jesus on the way. The story begins with the status quo. There's a busy world, all kinds of activity, and important people going important places, people who are following those important people, supporting, tracking, trying to learn something. But the world is broken. Things aren't right. There are broken, hurting people for whom things haven't gone well, people who are forgotten or pushed aside. And they sit by the roadside begging, hoping that someone will notice them enough, feel sorry for them enough to give them enough to get by that day. This is the normal way. And this is the way the world tends to work. It's going along just as normal when all of a sudden someone interrupts the normal story. Bartimaeus, this one who is identified as a blind beggar. He's a blind beggar. This is his identity as one who is a blind beggar. He sits by the roadside. He's heard, we don't know what he's heard, but somehow he's heard enough about this Jesus to cry out. And he interrupts the norm and cries out and says, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Somehow Bartimaeus had heard enough about this Jesus to think maybe he was the Messiah, the King of Israel who was going to come and make everything right, restore Israel, restore the world, restore things to the way they were meant to be. Son of David, the title is, have mercy on me. Well, that disruption is met with immediate resistance. Those who are following Jesus say, no, he's too important for that. Hush. He doesn't have time for you. You're a blind beggar. You're not important. But Bartimaeus does not take their counsel. Instead, he ignores it, turns up the volume. Son of David, have mercy on me. Son of David, have mercy on me. You can imagine, it's like it's louder and louder. You almost want to cover your ears. Just like if you're near the bell at Camp Spalding when it's time to ring. If you know what it's like, you know you need to cover your ears if you're near that bell because it's loud. Well, this is Bartimaeus making a loud call. Everyone else is content to cover their ears and keep walking, except one. Jesus. Jesus stops. The word there means he puts himself. He just put both feet in the ground, looks around. Call him here, he says. Well, the people around by are surprised, but they obey. Take courage, take heart, Bartimaeus. He's calling for you. See, when Jesus is walking by and someone like Bartimaeus cries out, Jesus listens. Jesus hears the cry of this blind beggar, the one that everyone else was content to ignore. Jesus doesn't ignore him. Jesus stops. Jesus listens. This story is one that actually is the only healing story in Mark where the one who is healed is named. Jesus sees a human, listens to this cry of this hurting human, and calls him to come face to face. Jesus listens. Jesus then, when Bartimaeus throws off his cloak, by the way, probably his most valuable belonging, jumps up, and he's so thankful that someone heard him, that Jesus listened. He comes to him, and Jesus surprises us again, asking Bartimaeus, what is it you want me to do for you? Not the question you would expect. Jesus is listening again. He's listening for the longing of Bartimaeus' heart, and Bartimaeus brings it in humility, says, I want to be made well. I want to be able to see again my teacher. In humility, he cries out and brings his deepest longing to Jesus. And once again, we see Jesus listens. Today, in this coronavirus crisis, a lot of us need to know that Jesus listens. As we think about our world and all the hurt and the brokenness and the unknowns, we cry out, we need to know, like Bartimaeus, that Jesus listens. For those who are thinking about those they love, who are vulnerable, neighbors, grandparents, and friends and children, maybe even those who are in hospitals, they need to know that Jesus listens. In the midst of the unknown economic impact of this, they need to know, and we need to know, that Jesus listens. Whatever's going on in our lives, whether it's related to COVID-19 or to whatever other challenges come in our lives, where the brokenness of our world rears its head, we can know, like Bartimaeus, that Jesus hears, that Jesus listens. In the way that everyone at camp hears that bell, Jesus hears our cries. Well, when Jesus listens, everything changes for Bartimaeus. Jesus looks at him and says, go, your faith has made you well. Your faith has saved you. Saved you, made you whole, made you well. Bartimaeus is different. After crying out to Jesus, realizing Jesus listens, Jesus doesn't leave him the same. He heals him, restores him now and forever, but then also gives Bartimaeus a new purpose. See, Bartimaeus, who left his cloak behind, now regains his sight and follows Jesus on the way. The way in Mark is code for not just the road, but the way of Jesus, his life, following him as a follower, disciple, one who learns from him and lives life according to his ways. Bartimaeus has a new purpose. His new purpose is to be a follower of Jesus, one who walks with Jesus, who listens to Jesus, who trusts in him, who now obeys him. One who participates in Jesus' redemptive work in the world as Jesus witnesses to this kingdom of God, this kingdom where things are made right, where people are made whole, where people are restored to community, where people come to salvation in their hearts and salvation and wholeness in the world that is looking more and more just and right. This is the purpose that Jesus is giving Bartimaeus, to come join him in his redemptive work in this world. Bartimaeus cries out. Jesus listens. And Bartimaeus is made whole, restored, and also given a new purpose in life. A new purpose as a follower of Jesus and participant in his work in the world. And so today, may we know that Jesus listens. May we bring our deepest longings of our hearts to him and confidently find that he meets us, restores us, and sends us out with a new purpose in him, be a part of his good work in this world. God bless you this day. I hope you have a peaceful rest in Jesus, the one who listens.